Hi friends, welcome back to A Global Kitchen. Today we're making one of my family's favorite meals. It's called Banh Xeo. It's a Vietnamese style savory crepe and it's so much fun to eat. You take a portion of it, wrap it around some tender lettuce and herbs, and dip it into a tangy sauce. You can even wrap everything into a rice paper roll. One of my other favorite foods are Indian dosas. So the first time that I ate Banh Xeo, I noticed the two are quite similar. There is a relation between the two because of the movement of goods and people between southern India and Southeast Asia, but we'll save that story for another time. Now, if you've ever made savory French crepes, you can make Banh Xeo. The planning and preparation is very similar, and so is the cooking technique, with some minor differences. Banh Xeo are great for vegans and people with wheat intolerances, as it contains no dairy or eggs, and it's gluten-free. Best of all, it's absolutely delicious. Now, most recipes that you see online or in cookbooks are made just with rice flour, so it makes them hard to get them super crispy. Now, this recipe contains mung beans, and that helps give it a crispy exterior. You need to soak the mung beans in water before you can blend them into a batter. So you can either pour just boiled water over them, covered by a couple of inches, and let them soak for an hour. Or you can just pour hot tap water over them and let them sit out overnight or during the day while you work. That's the method that I did today. Either way works really well. To make the batter, drain the half cup of mung beans and place them in the blender with 1.5 cups of fresh water. Blend them for about a minute. Add in 1 cup of rice flour and a half teaspoon of salt. The addition of a 1/4 teaspoon of ground turmeric gives the Banh Xeo their lovely golden hue. I add in a 1/4 cup of coconut milk for flavor and a touch of fat. In some recipes that don't use mung beans, the cooks suggest using beer or sparkling water to assist with producing crispy Banh Xeo. Blend the mixture for another minute or two, then pass it through a fine mesh strainer just in case there are any small lumps. You want to let the batter rest for up to 30 minutes. It gives the rice flour time to rehydrate. You can make it up to 2 days in advance and just refrigerate it. Before you use it, bring it back out to room temperature and give it a good stir because the mung bean and rice flour mixture tends to settle a little bit. Now, as this rests, I'm going to make the dipping sauce, the filling, and wash and pick some herbs and lettuce. The dipping sauce is the everyday table sauce, Nuoc Cham Chay. An easy way to remember it is a general ratio of 4-3-2-1. 4 tablespoons of water, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, 1 tablespoon of lime juice, but sometimes I find an extra teaspoon or 2 is needed. Then I add in a teaspoon of soy sauce, half teaspoon of salt, and a finely chopped clove of garlic. I most often use a Thai bird chili, but today I'm going to use some sambal oelek, just slightly less than a teaspoon. Stir the sauce for several minutes until the sugar is completely dissolved. Taste it to see if you need to adjust any seasonings. Today I think it needs a touch more salt and sugar. Check out my basic pantry series for more dipping sauce options. The filling for a vegan Banh Xeo can be very simple, like some thinly sliced scallions, thinly sliced cilantro, and bean sprouts. Some cooks like to cut the scallions and cilantro a bit finer and add them to the batter, but I prefer to sprinkle them into the pan once the batter has been added. In addition to the scallions and cilantro, sometimes I also add some smoked or marinated tofu and mushrooms. Just make sure you thinly slice both of them into small bite-sized pieces. This way, you won't have to cook them in advance before adding them to the pan. When they're thinly sliced, they'll steam until just cooked. Now let's move on to the lettuce and herbs. You want to select tender lettuces. I prefer Boston or Bibb, but Cos or Romaine also work. Pick off the leaves and give them a good wash and spin dry. Then cut or tear them into palm-sized pieces. Try to use 2 types of herbs. Today I have Thai basil and mint, but Vietnamese balm or some radish or mustard sprouts are great too. Now that our filling and wrapping ingredients and dipping sauce are ready, let's head to the stove. Don't forget to stir the batter. The pureed mung bean and rice flour has probably settled a bit on the bottom, so you'll need to give it a good stir to get it to the right consistency. The batter should be a touch thinner than heavy cream. Although I saw many cooks in Vietnam make Banh Xeo in seasoned woks, I think it's easier to first start making them in non-stick frying pans, or better yet, cast iron pans. Before you cook your first Banh Xeo, you should check how much batter you'll need for the size of your pan. It's been a while since I've made them in this large frying pan. My guess is that I'll need 1/3 of a cup, roughly the amount of this ladle. First, heat your pan over medium-high heat. On my induction stove, that's number 8. Pour in a tablespoon of vegetable oil and get it hot and shimmering. Then pour in the batter and quickly swirl it around the pan, like if you were making French crepes. Clearly, I needed a larger amount of batter to thinly cover the bottom of this pan. It looks like 1/2 cup is the perfect amount. You want your pan to be hot enough for tiny bubbles to form and for the batter to make a sizzling sound the moment it hits the pan. If you need to fill in a gap or two, go right ahead. Immediately sprinkle the scallions, cilantro, and bean sprouts over half of the Banh Xeo. Cook it for a couple of minutes until you see the edges are starting to brown. Cover with a lid, set loosely ajar. Lower the heat to medium. On my stove, that's number 5. And let the ingredients kind of steam for a couple of minutes. Then uncover the pan. The edges should be browner and coming away from the pan. Fold the half of the Banh Xeo with no ingredients over the side with the filling and gently press it. Let it cook for another 30 seconds, then either transfer it to a serving plate or to a baking sheet and keep it warm in an oven set to 300 Fahrenheit or 150 Celsius. I'm going to cook the next one in a cast iron pan. Since they retain heat better, I find they produce a crispier Banh Xeo. Don't forget, between cooking each Banh Xeo, you should increase the heat back to medium-high and pour in a tablespoon of vegetable oil. For this smaller 9-inch cast iron pan, I only need 1/4 cup of batter. Don't forget to adjust the amount of batter needed based on the size of the pan you're using. This time I'm going to add several slices of mushrooms and tofu and sprinkle over top the scallions, cilantro, and a good pinch of bean sprouts. Again, loosely cover the pan with a lid and reduce the heat to medium and cook it for a couple of minutes before you uncover it to see the edges are nicely browned. Fold it into a half moon and gently press it. Look how much crispier and golden brown the Banh Xeo is. Transfer it to the oven to keep it warm while you make more Banh Xeo. It's more efficient and less messy to cut the Banh Xeo with scissors into wedges. I'll cut the smaller one into 3 pieces and the larger one into 4. To eat it, take a palm-sized piece of lettuce and pick off several leaves of each herb. Then place a piece of Banh Xeo on top and tightly roll it into a bundle. Then dip it into the everyday table sauce. You may want to pour the dipping sauce into individual bowls. You can also make a rice paper roll. Rehydrate the rice paper for 4 to 5 seconds and then add the lettuce and herbs in the bottom third of the rice paper. Cover with a piece of Banh Xeo and roll it up. Check out my video on how to assemble and roll fresh rice paper rolls for more detailed instructions. We interrupt the shooting of this video as the homeschooling middle schooler and high schooler quickly descend on the home cafeteria in search of much-needed midday sustenance. The work-from-home diplomat soon follows. Anyone else notice this pattern during the time of COVID? Luckily for them, me, Chef Dad, is shooting a video about Banh Xeo, one of their favorite meals. And no, I don't mind one bit that they're interrupting me before I shoot my outro. Now how am I going to do that with little food left over? Anyways, you'll find the full Banh Xeo and dipping sauce recipes on page 217 and page 49 in my cookbook, Vegetarian Vietnam. I'll leave a link for it in the description box below.
Hey, nobody told me it was lunch. Don't forget to like and subscribe to A Global Kitchen. Charly out.